Hello and welcome to my Happy Cells and Souls YouTube channel. My name is Julie Powers and I am a licensed Zumba instructor and a partner with the Juice Plus company. My missions in life are to help people understand that life is better when they're dancing through it and to inspire healthy living around the world. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level. Yeah, and more joy at the cellular level. And I believe that we only get one body while we're here on earth and that we have to take care of it so that we can live our best lives. And part of living our best lives is to be happy and joyful and to spread as much happiness and joy in the world as we can. And I'll tell you what, in my life, I have met some really amazing people along the way. And my theory is that we can learn from every single human being that there is. Doesn't matter what our beliefs are culturally, religiously, politically, socially, economically, where we stand in anything, we can learn from every single person. And if we're not learning and growing, then we're stagnant and dying, and that is not fun. So my guest today is the Honorable Cindi Beaman, who I have known since high school, and she is a judge now, but way back then she was not a judge. And we met our freshman year in high school when she moved to my little town here in Missouri and came from California, and we became friends, and we ended up living together our freshman year at University of Missouri, Columbia. And we went on an adventure the summer after that, living in California, Northern California. And then after our undergraduate days were finished, Cindi left and went back to the West Coast and had a life of adventure before she decided to become an attorney. And then she became a judge. And so if I didn't actually sit in her courtroom one day, or well, a weekend basically, and I saw her work 2 days in a row, I would not have ever really been able to wrap my head around the fact that she's a judge and she sits on a bench and she decides if somebody's guilty or innocent. It's just the craziest thing. So can you tell us really briefly, really quick synopsis of, what made you decide to become a judge or an attorney, basically, and then what led to becoming a judge?
Well, I participated in a small claims case in Tahoe, and as I was dealing blackjack in Tahoe, and decided that I really liked the idea of being in the courtroom. So I applied for law school, went to law school, came up to Oregon and studied for the bar. And while I did that, I applied for some jobs, got some jobs, worked at the public defender's office, and then just circumstances led to me being appointed as a circuit court judge, and then ultimately elected. So this will be my third election coming up soon.
So you were first appointed as a judge because the governor of Oregon placed you in that role.
Correct.
And you have had to go into elections, and you have been, reelected.
Yes.
And
13 years in June, I will have been a judge.
13 years. Oh my gosh. You know what? I know that time is flying by, but it seems like that's not possible.
And it's like when you see other people's children and they grow up, and yours has been growing up all along, but you see somebody else who's suddenly 6'4", and you're like, how'd that happen? I don't know.
Right. I know that we have talked about how you did not take the traditional route to become an attorney, but that's okay, because like I've said before in other conversations, that there is really no set way that we're supposed to go through life. And I think that it's really interesting that you went, you first thought you were going to be a math person, maybe a teacher. You were in business, you got your undergraduate degree in business, and then a life circumstance that threw you into a position where you just sort of dipped your toe in the water of legal life, and it sort of clicked. Even though your mom had told you that you should be an attorney long ago, we don't always listen to our parents, of course. And so I love that you were a public defender and that you've served in all these different areas, but you were a criminal attorney for a while before you became a judge. And now you sit on the bench, and it's not what it looks like on TV, and it's not what it looks like in the movies at all. But it's real life cases that really affect people's, futures. And this channel is all about happiness and joy. And most people wouldn't say, "Oh, being a judge is so joyful. Being an attorney is so happy and joyful," because no, you guys are like the butts of a lot of jokes. But really, I think that it gives people that point in life where there's closure, because this case has been heard, justice has been served. Hopefully the guilty party has been punished or is in the process of being rehabilitated, and that victim, if there was a victim involved, can then take the next step to finding their joy and happiness again. So I know that you see a lot of cases, because you're in a small area. So can you tell us about the range of characters that you see?
Yeah, well, 90% of it in the courtroom is criminal law, but outside of the courtroom, I do everything from I do traffic, probate, complex civil litigation, contracts, real estate, all of that sort of thing. But what you see on TV, it's not like what you see on TV, although it's like what you see on reality TV, which is why I don't like reality TV, because it's very much like my daily life. But it's not all of it's a lot sloppier than what it is on television. You can't just send DNA off and then get it back in 2 minutes, like you do.
Right, things don't happen that fast, do they?
No, it doesn't. So I see all different types of people, all different types of cases, and really, I live in basically small town America in Oregon, and we have all different socioeconomic status type people, and then we have blue collar workers, white collar crime, all sorts of stuff. So it's a real variety. And I guess what I would say about people, what you said, people have closure. Sometimes people aren't always happy with the closure, because I when I was a lawyer, I used to make generally one side was happy with me and the other side was not happy with me. But as judge, neither side is happy with me, because if you have to come to a judge generally to have them make a decision, it's because you're not getting along and you're not able to do that. So I hope to make the right decision, not to make everybody happy. And however, there are times when I do have good outcomes, like an adoption. Maybe a child was, a child of a drug house, or drug parents who are just not able to kick it, and their rights are terminated, and then I get to do an adoption, and that's a happy day. Or weddings, I can do weddings. I don't really like doing them that much because I don't like being in front of people, which is odd because I'm in front of people all day long, but that's another issue. So yeah, I see all different types of people, and actually a lot of times in criminal law, people are happy with the result because of the closure, now that I think about it, because they have this hanging over their head and they just want to get it done with, and they want to move on. They want to get often the help that they need, because I'd say probably, anecdotally, I'd say 80 to 90% of the cases that we deal with are drug or alcohol related, as far as criminal law is concerned. And they just, nobody really wants to be here. Maybe there's one or two people in my times who want to commit crimes, but actually there's a guy right now who he wants to commit low-level crimes because he wants to get out of the elements, because he's homeless. So he goes to jail, and that's another issue. But most people just want to, they want to be better. They don't want to be dependent on drugs and all of that. And so when I'm thinking about how I sentence somebody, and we talked about this earlier, about the factors that come into why somebody maybe gets sent to prison, or why somebody gets sent to just the county jail, or why somebody is out on probation. When those factors come in, as far as sentencing is concerned, it's whether or not the person can be rehabilitated, or whether or not we need to stop the person from being out and about at all, or whether or not the general public is going to get an idea that if you do this thing that you're going to get in trouble and you don't want to do it. Those are the kinds of the factors that go in when I'm making those decisions.
Right.
So.
Right. I think that when I was out there and I was sitting in the courtroom and I watched you do your thing, which was,
That was a jury trial, wasn't it?
well, I was there 2 different days, and one day was a guy talking about this other man who kept bringing his dog over to his yard or something, and it was really a very comical case to me. I just thought, seriously, you're wasting her time on this. But I saw that you do have this wide range of people, and then another time there were, you know, men with the handcuffs being brought in and their jumpsuits, and I thought, yeah, you know, you don't hang out with the same kind of people that I hang out with. I'm, you know, I'm in the fitness room with people who are wanting to dance and listen to fun music, and you're dealing with a bunch of different people in all different levels of stress and mental capacity, I'm sure. One of the things that we talked about was things that you might not want to say to a judge. And one of the people that you said was standing before you had something funny to say.
Oh, well, I had 2 stories. So one of them was the gentleman who he was in trouble for dumping items all over his property and on county property on a regular basis. And they had some concern that things other than garbage were just there. They thought maybe bodies were there, actually. And I think that's common knowledge that they were concerned about that. So they kept trying to get him to clean up, and he'd be ordered to clean up and he wouldn't. So then they started citing him. And this is another county, and I had to go up there, and he hadn't seen me before. This is when I was younger. I've been here 13 years, so 13 years ago, it was the first year I was here. He said, you know, you're too pretty to be a judge. And he said, but I'm just a dirty old man. And I said, that's why we're here, because you're alleged to be a dirty old man.
Yeah.
So that was funny. And then I've had, and this has actually happened on multiple occasions, but I did have one person say that he'd been doing much better, and he wanted me to take into account that he'd been doing much better, because he used to commit a crime every week, but now he had only had maybe 3 to 5 arrests in the last year. So I was
so, you know, that is an improvement, but don't know that that's a really, you know, glowing recommendation for a judge to take into account.
But on that sense, you know, I deal with people who have maybe their educational level is not that high, and I mean, it varies, but we have socioeconomic status might be you know, well below the poverty level. Their education, it varies, and what they've, you know, the secular the cycles that they've been through with what they've learned from their parents or their grandparents.
Right.
And they don't know better, and so you have to consider that. So being arrested 3 to 5 times in a year might actually be a good thing, and you have to consider those kinds of things when you're making decisions about. But then we talked about it before, Julie, that that there are some barriers to my decision making. So the legislature has, and for felonies, a felony is something where you can be sent to prison, or you can be you're sentenced for a period of time that is beyond a year and a day. The legislature limits or gives you less discretion onto what you can decide as far as sentencing is concerned. So some people don't understand that for example, in our county, if you have possession of methamphetamine, the legislature has told us I can only give you 10 days in jail, which seems crazy because it's methamphetamine, right? So those are some of the things that go into sentencing. And then the other thing is that a lot of people don't know is that the district attorney has a lot of control over what happens in a case, because they're the ones who are deciding whether or not to charge or whether or not to dismiss a case in a plea bargain and
Right.
that sort of thing.
Whether or not
So,
you get a chance to even hear a case is not up to
right,
you. It's
not up to me, right?
very interesting.
I'm like a referee. I don't bring the teams to the game, but I have to decide whether or not they fouled or not.
Right, right. Interesting. Okay, so I know that we have just a couple minutes left. Time just flies.
I
So
know.
when I was out there and I saw that judges' chambers do not look at all like judges' chambers in a movie. It's just like an
No.
office. So it's like the room you're sitting in right now
Yes.
is your
Right.
chambers. And it's just a regular office, but you have the door that goes right into the courtroom where you can put your robe on, go out, and you're like official, Your Honor. Everybody stand up, do the thing. And then you take the robe off and you're regular Cindi again. But it's really a fun experience to watch you do your thing, because I know I'm never going to be that person up on the bench. But there are not enough attorneys in your area. In Oregon,
Right.
you need more attorneys. And so this is kind of a plea for anybody out there in law school or thinking about going to law school, that you might want to look at maybe checking out the Oregon area and some of the other states out there, and probably across the country, right? That they're in need.
Well, one of the things we've talked about is that you can take different paths to get here, and even if you didn't get great grades in high school, well, or college, you can ultimately become a lawyer. It's just whether or not you have that drive and you want to do it. I mean, I'm cutting that really short, but in a small town, I think being a lawyer can be really exciting. And I think that some people have this preconceived idea that if you're a lawyer, you're in a blue suit and you're in the office in Portland or in St. Louis, and you're trying to get billable hours, which is great for some people. Not for me, because I'm terrible at tracking my time, by the way. Obviously, when we're talking in this, I talk too much maybe, but you can have a variety of things that you can do in a small town like this, and it can be exciting. And we have a very old, personally in our county, we have, I shouldn't say very old, but an older attorney base, and they're all considering retiring.
Oh, right.
And there's really only one person under the age of 40 who is practicing law in our county. And so we're desperate for attorneys. And I think that other counties in the nation are similar to this, because like I said, people think that you need to go and work in that big, where they do, by the way, require 4.0 and
Right.
perfect, grades and all of that.
But just because you get a really good grade doesn't mean you necessarily know the law any better. And I think that that's important to know, that it's just like any other position, really, that you can know a lot more than your grades reflect. And so
right.
I think,
and you need to be able to be personable, and you need to be able to communicate, and those are things that you can't get graded on, but there's certainly
right.
things that can help you in the legal world. Yeah.
Right. It sounds like you have a bird sitting on your shoulder there.
Birds are going nuts today.
Well, it's springtime, that's great. And you live in one of the most beautiful areas of our country, I believe. The Oregon coast is just amazing. So in the text below this video, I'm going to put in there about how somebody could maybe contact you in the best way to find out more about being an attorney in Oregon, or maybe just to pick your brain a little bit. And so I appreciate you taking the time to do this, because I love talking to you, because you're one of my best friends, you're like my pal. And I just think that sharing what you do with the world is going to be very really, really impactful for the right person that wants to learn about doing what you do. So thank you for sharing that. And
Didn't get to say how amazing you are, Julie, in this segment here, but you have always inspired me to be positive, to be happy, and to do better. And I just think that you're doing so much good for the people of Farmington and the people in the web world with your Juice Plus and your Zumba and your positive YouTube videos. So I just can't say enough about how great you are. But you've always been a cheerleader, like I said, and you're continuing it in life, and it just suits you. So dance your way away.
I love you. Thank you. Thank you for that. And so we're going to end on that note. So, thank you.
All right.